How's it going, guys? Cracked Rack here, with an even newer microphone than what I had last time. Now, as you know, I've had a bit of a turbulent life. I still kind of have a turbulent life. It's not as bad as it was, though. And when I was a teenager, I did some disturbing things, and some awesome things, but mostly disturbing things. This is one of those things, except I don't really think I was at fault. I was just a kid. I was also very, going through a lot of problems. There was no easy route for me back then. So yeah, my life's been a bit turbulent. It's still turbulent now, but not as bad as it was. Yeah, got suspended from school. How did it happen? Well, long story short, a long time ago now. And I can't believe it, but it's probably been 10 years since this happened. This is all the way back when, Onision was still being, questioned by YouTube, and, it was a really serious thing. And at the time, I would have been maybe about 15, 14, maybe even a little younger when this started. Now, this is not some exposed video. I'm not trying to hurt my brother, get him in trouble. I don't care about him at all. I'm just telling a funny story because, honestly, the story's kind of funny. If you sift through all the disturbing shit, it's kind of funny. So, brother, all your disgusting crimes are forgiven. I don't give a fuck. Now, I don't remember much about my brother before I got deeply involved with him for a short period of time, but I remember that he had met his husband, his current husband, and basically they were trying to adopt a kid or something, and they couldn't, so because they had mental health issues. So they started hanging out with me, giving me booze and weed and shit. You know the whole story, so that I would like them. And I did like them. I was like, yes! Booze, weed, yes! You see, long before I became a comedy YouTuber and a nerdy freaking author who makes horror and torture porn, I was very delusional, and I thought that I was going to be this mega sexy celebrity. I thought I was going to be this The Weeknd, The Weeknd. I thought I was going to be kind of that vibe, and I thought I was going to be so sexy and smooth, because I had made a couple of songs. I was a very, very delusional child, in delusional environment, though. And long story short, my brother is like, hey, you want to live with me? I was like, yes! Yes! Booze, weed, drugs, The Weeknd! So I was kind of sayonara bitches to my parents, and they signed over the power of attorney to my brother. Now, this is where things can become horrible, because there was actually no fun to be had whatsoever at his house. He wasn't my cool party friend. He was tricking me, because he wanted to be an authoritarian grandpa to me, pretty much, and tell me everything I have to do and make my whole life about him. And everything went to shit very quickly. It went from, oh, I have all these siblings and I hang out with them and there's weed and we're having fun, yay, to, oh my god, I have to do all these chores, oh my god, I have to dress a certain way and look a certain way and act a certain way, and I have to go and perform a certain way, and I have to give up all of my hobbies and dreams, and if I don't, they lose their minds. And they would keep up deeply with my YouTube, which they unfortunately still do, but back then they were like, censored, you can't post this, and they would watch my videos and censor all of them, and say, no, you can't post it, it's too offensive, which made me want to kill him. But this is not a pity me and feel bad for me video, nor is it an expose video, it's a comedy video. So where's the comedy? Well, basically, everything went horribly wrong in this brother's space of mine. It was terrible. Yeah, I had, video games. He always had, the best video games for me. I'll give him that. He gave me all the video games. But other than that, everything was shit. We were always screaming at each other. My brother was always doing horrible shit to me and his husband. And I was miserable all the time by his design. He wanted us to be miserable all the time and tiptoe around him, so he was doing it to me. If it wasn't me wanting to fucking kill myself at the time, he would be threatening to shoot himself in the head. He'd be like, I just want to kill myself. And he made everyone else want to kill themselves. So it was just a terrible fucking time. Absolutely horrible. However, while this mess, this disgusting, horrible mess was going on, I was enrolled in high school. I was enrolled in this horrible, low budget, Mexican high school, no hate to Mexicans, and there was absolutely nothing of value there for me. The only thing that school did for me is it taught me about extreme music, it taught me about hip-hop, it taught me about drugs, and it taught me about sex. It introduced me to those things. I didn't know what those things really ultimately were before this school. And I was not a popular student. I had a couple, girlfriends and a couple friends, and that was it. 2 girlfriends, 3 friends, everyone else hated my guts. And you see, I made YouTube videos back then, just like this. Same voice, same inflection, same everything. And I was known as Angry Paper Plate Man at the time. And basically, I was just a niche little YouTuber. I was much smaller than this. I maybe had 2,000 subscribers, maybe like a 50 to 100 stable viewers, but everybody at school knew who I was. Every single kid knew who I was. Not a single one of them asked who I was. And they hated my guts. You see, I feel like these experiences strengthened me for the adult real world, because nowadays, I don't give a fuck if a group of 100 people hate me. But back then, I felt horrible about it, and I was just very insecure all the time. I was like, oh no, people hate me. And I was very insecure and very angry. And, of course, I got some bullies. People would call me names like, oh, you're a school shooter. Or they'd be like, oh, you're a white nerdy guy. Or they'd be like, you'll be a virgin for life. Ha, nerd. Which nowadays I'd be like, okay, can you go away, please? Back then I was like, oh no, they called me names. And I would stew about it in rage. I'd be like, oh, fucking bitches, motherfuckers, I'm gonna kill them all for doing that to me. Now, fast forward back home, and my brother's like, oh, you're my son, you're my real son, and he's buying me all of these things. He's like, here's a game console, and a computer, and here's marijuana, and here's a car, and oh, were you looking for a twin monitor set? And were you looking for 9 film posters of your favorite film and a mask of your favorite video game character? Here's $100 for your birthday, and I'm gonna make you the best 5-star meal, clean it all up, and you get a new video game! I'm not joking, he did all of this, then way more, and then he would turn around afterwards and be like, fuck you, you're worthless! Scream at his husband, punch a fucking hole in the wall, goddamn do a line of kratom, and of course, I was very negatively affected by this, because once the love bombing was over, it was like straight to chores and like this slave labor that I pretty much had to do. Don't worry, I was only here for like 2 years. But yeah, I'd have to shift from working a job at like 15 to like, you know, playing these video games, having the time of my life, smoking drugs, and then doing hardcore chores, deep cleaning. Nowadays it wouldn't be hardcore, but for a child it was pretty hardcore. And I was absolutely miserable. By design, that's what they wanted, because they get, like, pleasure out of it, because they're a narcissist. And I was like, oh, fuck, I need to get out of here. I had, like, zits all over my head, because I was so stressed out from this, and I carried this with me to school. So, I was sleeping in class, I was not paying attention to anything, I was not listening to anyone, ever, and I'd say really horrible things for fun. I'd be like, did you know that Hitler? Did you know that Hitler, when he did a Holocaust, he had a boner? And the kids, naturally, were not dealing with what I was dealing with. They would hear this and be like, oh, God, go away. And basically, I was getting bullied just a little bit. Names called, maybe like a spitball thrown at me. Maybe like a head shoved in the locker once. The big incident was, I didn't used to have tattoos or colored hair or anything like that. I looked like a cute little baby. I did. I looked like an adorable little baby. And so I was walking the hallways at school, and I saw this kid who was a thug. He had like an eyebrow shaved. He was a total thug. And I went up to him, and I was like, yo, I like your style. I thought we'd be friends. But he got off the wall, pinned me to the locker. It was like, what the fuck you just say to me, homie? And I was like, oh, nothing. He'd be like, yeah, that's what I thought, bitch. Slam my head into the locker, and then he walked away with, like, swagger. And I just looked at him like, oh, I'm gonna kill your fucking family. And I started dealing with this every day at school. Well, one day at school, I had a particularly egregious bullying session in class. There was this kid in class, and he was kind of calling me names. He was like, yo, you look like a pedophile, yo. Yo, you literally are gonna touch some kids. So I decided to be really offensive to them, and I was like, shut up, faggot. And everyone was like, oh, you can't say that, that's homophobic. You're a homophobic school shooter. And a homophobic school shooter, I felt like. I was very defeated, and as all this was going on, then my brother texts me, and is like, oh, you're having chicken noodle soup for dinner, and I hope you like cleaning, bitch. And I felt like shit, I believe I was like grounded or whatever. And I went outside into the hallway and started walking down the hallway. And I was just trying to fucking relax and like get my mind off of shit. But then suddenly I hear someone, I couldn't fully hear him because I had earbuds in, but I heard someone trying to bully me again. And I could hear their negative tone of voice shouting at me. And I was like, oh fuck, whatever. I just tried to keep walking on. But as I ignored them, then I was slammed to the wall. And my phone fell on its face and shattered a little bit. Not totally, but just a little bit. It wasn't a hard slam either. It was just inconvenient. It felt uncomfortable, and I was really mad that I dropped my phone. So I was like, oh, I'm done with these bullying motherfuckers! So I reached my hand behind me where the bully clearly was, grabbed them by the long hair. I was like, oh, okay, dude with long hair. And I swung! I swung once, I swung twice. This was such a hard swing. If I went to jail for doing this to an officer, it would be like felonious battery. It would have broken their nose. I was like, yeah, I'll teach that dude to fuck with me. And then I turn around, and it's a little girl. Not like a child. She was my age. She's probably about 14 at the time. I was 15, and she was little. She was like 5'2" or 3. I didn't see her at all. She had really long curly hair. She looked like a little cute puppy dog, and she's running away screaming, holding the back of her head where I punched. It was clearly her that I punched, and limping, and running away in absolute terror, and I screamed at her because I was so full of adrenaline. I was like, yeah, take that, you fucking bitch! Alright, I'm gonna light up a cigarette that I cut the filter off of because I'm gonna need a head rush to get through this fucked up shit. I was really trying to say was, oh my god, I just fucking hit a girl. I'm fucked. And fucked I was. I tried to create a sympathy story for myself by going into one of the classrooms in session, acting like it was an emergency. To me it was. And being like, sir, I just need to tell you that I was bullied and I punched her because it was self-defense. That's what I was saying. Because I wanted to really emphasize the bullying. And he did not. He was like, you hit a girl? And I was like, yes, because I was, angry. And they were like, he was like, what? It's very, very hard to explain to somebody that you hit a girl and didn't mean it. I didn't mean it. I thought it was a dude. I thought I was just dealing with a funky-ass fucking dude, and I wasn't. And because no girl bullied me, ever. Why would a girl bully me? What are they gonna gain? I can't see a girl talking to her girlfriends being like, yes, I bullied this boy. Got that, loser. What? But anyways, I went home, which I wish I didn't do. Nowadays, if I knew what I knew now, I would have just skipped and went to Chuck E. Cheese. But I went home, and my brother was like, you ruined us! You can't believe you did this! And he acted nice at first, but that's eventually what happened. And he was like, I can't believe you hit a girl! And his husband at the time was pretty much like, I can't believe this. You're bringing disappointment to our family. And I'm like, your family is built on domestic violence, abuse, drugs, and child abuse. So, at this point, I hated these people. I just wanted to get away from them forever. And they wouldn't stop guilting me over and over again like, I can't believe you punch a girl. Even though at first they were like, oh, it's not a big deal. They did think it was a... I decided at this point, okay, I need to get high because I'm fucked up. And I couldn't smoke weed because he had restricted my access to the weed because he wanted to control the weed. I was a minor and in school. So I couldn't control it. So I was like, I need other ways to get high. So I searched Arrowweed, which is dumb. And there were just people being like, yeah, bro, literally take 20 Benadryl and you'll see rainbows and shit. I was like, really? So we had a huge container of Benadryl and I was just like, yay. And for the first 2 nights, I felt great. I was like, yeah. I was like seeing demons and shit, but they were friendly and it was fun. Eventually, things got very, very bad. After a week of this punishment, I started taking like 30 Benadryl a night. And it fucked me up. I started seeing my brother in the closet talking to me and he wasn't even there. I started seeing nightmares come to life. I felt like I was dying. And every time I'd speak, I'd be like, hi, to myself. And I'd hear it 2 seconds later echo back at me. They eventually found me in this position with this much intoxication because they decided I was going to write an apology note to the girl. So, which I later did. It was all bullshit, but I did it. And I was like, okay, gonna write an apology to this girl who bullied me, by the way. I had no reason to write an apology to someone who bullied me. But these people wanted to look good. They wanted to look really good in front of other parents. So I was like, okay, sure. I will write an apology. But I was rolling off Benadryl. I felt like a demon child who died. And I started trying to write, and I was like, ugh. And my brother was like, what the fuck's wrong with you? Because I was just messed up. And they took me to the hospital. Long story short, they found out, I don't remember how, they found out that I was doing a bunch of Benadryl. So I tried to frame it as a suicide attempt so that they would not punish me as harshly. And it worked. It actually worked. And then, 1 year later, I dropped out of that school and went to live in Montana. And yeah, I decided that I did not like living there anymore, and I went to live back with my parents. And then, years later, my brother started trying to stalk me and smear campaign me so that I would feel so bad I would come back to him and he could continue it again. Like, years later, to this day, he tries to reach out to me, and I'm just like, blocked, not talking to you. Or, you know, at worst, maybe I'll once a week remind them, be like, hey, remember the time that you groomed me, you dumb fuck, bitch? And basically, yeah, after all these events, basically my whole family disintegrated, and they basically just became a bunch of addicts and junkies in the middle of nowhere. And that's where the story ends. So it started out with marijuana, the weekend, and grooming, and it ended in complete devastation.